I polled a group of fans that I have an access to, and I got some questions literally from the fans for you.
Good.
So can we run through a few of those?
Sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What was the story with the release of Strange Little Girl? Because I don't believe that's on an album, a Stranglers album.
Oh yeah, it was probably might be on a greatest hits, a few greatest hits compilations, but and there are millions of those, and I never get consulted about when they come out. I think there are too many, but that's a side issue. Strange Little Girl is very interesting because it started life as a song that I wrote with the fifth Strangler, which was Hans Vermling, the original, not a later edition, but Hans Vermling was a guitarist who I played with in Sweden in a band before the Stranglers. And when the Jet, John and myself were getting together, we needed a fourth player, and I said, well, I know this great guy in Sweden. He's a guitarist and a keyboard player and plays saxophone, and he writes songs, and he can sing backing vocals, sort of multi-instrumentalist. So we all thought that was a good idea, so we drafted him in from Sweden, and we set about writing loads of songs, and Strange Little Girl was one of the songs I wrote with Hans.
So that song is from the mid-'70s then?
Absolutely. And if you look at the credits on it, it says Blackburn, L. Cornwell, Greenfield and Vermling.
It does.
Warmling, yeah, and that's Hans. Although it was me and Hans that wrote it, but it was jointly credited, as all the compositions were at that time, and so it was. We thought it was a great song, so we demoed it. He played keyboards on it, the original version, and we made a demo of it. And we sent it off to loads of record companies as one of the songs to get us a record contract. In those days, you needed a record contract, contrary to now. And they all rejected it, and EMI rejected it. So then later on, when we were at the end of our contract with EMI, because they neglected to pick up the 90-day option. There's a 90-day option clause on record contracts. A lot of them where if they don't pick up the next option period of the contract within the 90 days, they're in well, they're not breach of contract, but the contract cannot be enforced. And our lawyers suddenly realised that they overlooked this, and Golden Brown had just been a big hit. And suddenly this clause hadn't been invoked. They hadn't picked up this option. So we said, we're going to leave. And they said, well, we're going to give you a big lawsuit if you do that. So we said, well, we'll do a deal with you. So what do you want? And they said, well, give us a follow-up to Golden Brown. And I, in my perverse wisdom, said to the others, look, we got this song that EMI rejected 8 years ago. Why don't we give them the same song? And so we gave them a new version of Strange Little Girl, and they brought it out this time, and it was a big hit,
Well, yeah, you had to bring their attention to it. It's one of the most amazing melodies.
Perverse,
yeah.
Irony that a song that they'd rejected 6-8 years earlier. They accepted and thought it was great and put it out, and had success with it. So that's why it was never on one of the studio albums, because it wasn't done, and it was done in its by itself. It was recorded in its own little period of time with no other songs, with Tony Visconti, who I wanted to work with, because he's very good with voices. I always thought his work with Bolan and with David Bowie was Mark Bolan and David Bowie. I always thought he was very good with producing voices, and this song was really needed because it was a real sung song.
Oh yeah,
and I thought it needed that, some production. And in fact, if this was after Golden Brown, so Tony we'd already worked with Tony. He'd mixed Golden Brown, yeah.
And then you worked with Tony later on some of your solo work.
Yeah. Beyond Elysian Fields, yeah.
So that connection was already there.
Yeah. Oh, from years ago. Yeah. So I think that answers that question, doesn't it?
It does answer that question, and that actually answers another question, because there had been a question about Tony Visconti. So there you go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Can we talk about the Nosferatu release? How did you get together with Robert Williams?
Well, I was a big Captain Beefheart fan, and I went to I was in San Francisco, and in fact, funnily enough, Blondie were in San Francisco at exactly the same time, and they were big Captain Beefheart fans. So I remember going to see Captain Beefheart, I can't remember the name of the venue, was playing 3 nights running, and I went all 3 nights. So it was just because he was playing different sets each night, so I loved it. So I was hear all these different songs that I knew, and I remember going to one of the shows with Blondie. We'd had a few drinks first with some friends, and it was the venue had lots of steps, sort of like almost like a town hall or something out of a Eisenstein film, you know, Battleship Potemkin with the pram. But instead of the pram falling down the stairs, Debbie Harry fell down the stairs. She tripped over her coat or a high heel or something. And I've never heard a woman swear so much as I was shocked. The sounds that were coming out of her mouth, she was absolutely stunned me. Anyway, but then I went to see Robert and Beefheart, and Robert was playing drums with him, and I just thought it was great. And they weren't all hanging out afterwards, but he was at the bar, so I went up and met him, and we just got on really well, and we ended up spending a couple of days hanging out together in San Francisco, and as one does. So we kept in touch, and then I had some time off coming up to, I think that was in sort of September time, when was Nosferatu done? 78. I think it was in tail end of 77 that I'd met him at these Beefheart concerts, and then the tail end of 77. If it came out in 78, that makes sense. Tail end of 77, I had a couple of months free, so I rang him up and said, let's make a record together, and he said, yeah, fine. So, and at the last minute, we just booked some studios and ran around. So that's how I met him. We did it all in Los Angeles. And
were there other guests on that record as
well? Many. Yeah, there was. He knew Ian Underwood.
Zappa.
From Zappa, and I got Ian Drury to come and do some fairground barking on one of the songs, The Wrong Way Round, and we'd run in. We both knew the Mothersbaugh brothers from Devo, so they came in and did co-wrote a song with us, Rhythmic Itch. So there are various people popped in and did stuff.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we had the Clash doing backing vocals on Puppets.
Really?
Yep. But that was done in London.
Wow.
Yeah. We were mixing in the studio, and they were downstairs, and so I said, let's get Mick. I just seen Mick in the loos. Let's get him in the restrooms. Mick Jones. Let's get him in to do some. So he came in and did some backing vocals for us, because we knew we'd bumped into him in San Francisco. We hung out with him a bit as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an amazing conglomeration of people.
Things that, a lot of it just what happens, who's around,
Yeah, we just happened to work out.
Yeah.